Hi, everyone. It's Bridget Eileen Sisko. I'm here today with two of the authors of Creating a Life of Abundance, Shae and Ryan Duffy. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you, Bridget?
Good. I'm good. I'm good. It's been awesome to not only read your chapters, but to also get to meet the two of you in person. That was such a gift. But today I want to go a little bit more into the main message behind the chapter that you both wrote in this book and a little bit about your business. So let's just start with a little introduction to Shae and Ryan. Who are you? What is your business background? Give us a little bit of information to start today.
Cool. Well, first of all, thanks for taking the time today, Bridget. Really appreciate it. So yeah, we're Shae and Ryan. Shae's got a background as an interior designer. I was a fireman for 9 years before we moved down here, and then got into construction. And then Shae got into real estate. Fast forward a few years, we own a few vacation rentals. We manage a few vacation rentals. We've got our own brokerage licensed in Arkansas, Missouri, and now Oklahoma. And we're also licensed home builders in the state of Arkansas. So we've got several new construction projects going on at the moment.
Wow. So not just one thing going on, you have many things. You're also redoing your own house. You have three kids. Like you're not living a boring life, that's for sure.
Definitely not boring.
No, I feel like every day could be a separate book. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, we're building our own personal home, um, selling the place that we were living in, but it needs new flooring. So doing all of that, and then living in one of our rentals right now, across the street from one of our projects, which is a container home that we've built. And then yeah, three kids, so it's crazy.
Just all that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So what brought the two of you to want to contribute to this book, Creating a Life of Abundance? What about that title spoke to you? What about this topic spoke to you? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, we kind of touched on that in the call earlier. I wasn't really sure exactly why at the the time we came into it, but just something we felt compelled to do. We've been through a lot together as a couple that I think a lot of couples go through on some varying degrees, but maybe just don't talk about. Maybe they don't get through it. We went through a lot of things that we almost didn't pull through as a couple. And so initially, getting in this project, I felt compelled to just sort of share our story in the hopes that maybe one other person would read this and say, okay, yeah, maybe I can get through this too. And then kind of reflecting back on the process and rereading our chapter and everybody else's chapters, I think for us it was really about reflection. We were able to, we lead this crazy life, that we have over the last few years, where it almost feels like we don't have time to stop and breathe and look around at what we're doing. But sitting down and writing this chapter together, and there were a bunch of times where Shae and I kind of looked at each other and we're like, why are we doing this? Because we're not someone to put up on a pedestal. Like we've got tons of issues of our own. Like nothing in our life is perfect, by any means. But sitting there and putting it all on paper and kind of reflecting on it, I think gave us an opportunity to sit back and look at what we've done and kind of appreciate the direction that we're heading in. It is chaotic as it is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's what I really admire about the two of you, because sometimes when the title of the book, Abundance, that has such a big idea like money, richness, wealth, happiness, perfection in many ways. And I admire the two of you with your courage and just realness, because I think that, with a title like this and this type of book, we need some realness. And I think that you two bring that to the table so honestly and from a perspective of the reader. I know that people are going to appreciate that because they're going to resonate and be like, oh, wow, I'm not alone. So I think you guys did that really, really well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, neither of us came from families that have, wealth per se. And, we're not even 40 and we've got investment properties. And, I always thought that was something that people, get into after they retire. Like you have to have a lot of money to do it. But we were able to pull together a pretty cool portfolio with not very much money. It just took a lot of creativity and risk tolerance. And so I think I just would hope that somebody could read the book and, maybe they've got children or I just all these things that you look at and think, well, I can't do it because and see that, actually you can. You don't have to, life doesn't have to stop just because you want to pursue some investments or things that'll help you have an easier life in the future.
Yeah, 100%.
So this kind of leads us perfectly into what the two of you wrote about. And I asked the question before we started. I was like, how would you really sum up your chapter in a couple of words? So can you guys go into a little bit of what you shared in the chapter and really the theme behind what you wrote in this book?
Yeah, so we kind of took turns, writing from our own perspectives, and then obviously coming back together at the end. For me, I think a lot of it kind of hinges on the initial idea that we were starting down this path of the American dream and getting a career and buying a house and starting a family, and that whole thing just got turned on its head pretty quick after we started our journey. I mean, we got together as a couple. I started with the fire department. We bought a house, and then I injured myself, and I couldn't work for a period of time, and ended up getting addicted to painkillers. And our marriage was on the rocks for years, and we had financial issues, and just all kinds of messiness. And it really took us, pulling ourselves out of our comfort zone, to figure out a way to move forward from that point. The whole idea of living in a house for 30 years, working a job for 40 years, and then taking the time to do what we wanted to do, more and more just seemed crazy. It's like, I might not live that long. So why do I want to live away from this lake that we're in love with, with the hopes that I can go there once a year, So that's kind of how the story progressed. I mean, our hand was kind of forced, we had a bunch of debt stacked up, I couldn't work anymore, but then we realized, hey, we've got a bunch of sweat equity in this house we bought. We can sell it. We've got a big nest egg. We lived in it for at least 2 years. So we're not going to pay any capital gains tax on it. And that set everything in motion. I mean, we remember talking to our accountants the year we sold our house. That was the first year we paid an accountant to do our taxes because we were freaked out about it. Like, man, so we netted like $100,000 on that deal. And we're like, we're gonna have to pay taxes. Like, what are we gonna do with this? And we sat down with the guy. He's like, no, that was your personal residence for 2 out of the last 5 years. You don't pay a dime in taxes. I'm like, really? Like, can anyone do this? Can you do it again? He's like, yeah, you can do it as many times as you want. We're about to do it for a third time in a 10-year period. So stuff like that it's not really in the forefront of your thought process as you're starting up to build a family and build a foundation for what you're going to do for the rest of your life. It's definitely not something they teach in school. They teach you, go to college, get your degree, work 30 years, buy a house, and retire when you're 60. So, I mean, I think for us, like I said, our hand was forced and we had to do something, but it couldn't have played out any better. I mean, definitely, in God's grace, and just really blessed in the path that it's taken us. And at the time, and you mentioned like the theme to our chapter, like we were kind of going back and forth, like trying to figure out what words to put on it. I don't know. I want to say forged in fire, or diamonds are formed in under pressure.
No pressure, no diamonds.
No pressure, no diamonds. I mean, I guess that would be kind of the underlying theme without trying to get too cliche about it. I mean, we went through some really rough hardships early on in our marriage, and we would not be where we're at if it wasn't for those hardships.
Right. You mentioned a couple of terms like even capital gains, and we're not taught these type of things in school. So what would be your piece of advice for anyone who's probably going to read this book and wants to get into the short-term rental industry or real estate in general? What would you tell them to do first?
Just do it.
Well, buy a
Yeah.
home. I mean, even if it's a personal home, and it's usually especially, buy a house. I mean, even if and especially buy something that needs some improving, and do it yourself. And if you don't know how to do it, look on YouTube. Look, it's out there. Just do it. And I mean, I with my design background and a real estate background and a flipping house background, I can tell you the best thing you can invest in is paint. It's amazing what a difference painting your cabinets and painting your vanities and painting your walls. It makes a world of difference, and it's not very expensive. So, and then to me, that would be step one. If if I'm going back and I'm advising someone, maybe they're in their mid-20s or something, or early 20s, but buy a house, buy something that needs some work, fix it up. And then, if you want to stay there, you can pull money out of the equity on your home, which a lot of people don't realize they can do. But we've done it. Or if it's that time, sell it and buy something else. But don't be afraid to buy real estate. Don't let, if there's some inspections, they'll all have inspection issues. They all will, even brand new homes. I would say, don't get scared. Do some research first, before you pull out of that deal, if it's a good deal.
And don't get too committed to one plan so that you can't adjust. I mean, how many times has our plan changed over the last
If we would
6 months?
Anytime anyone asks us, what's your 5-year plan? It's like, we did try to come up with 5-year plans. Had we stuck to any of those, we would not be anywhere where we are today. Where we are today, we should probably know these things.
We should know these things. We own 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 properties. Not all houses. Some of them are just raw land. We're building a personal house for ourselves on 27 acres. We've got ownership of 2 vacation rentals personally. We manage 2 vacation rentals for relatives. We are in a land development deal with some really good friends and business partners of ours, and
building a resort.
That's right. So just all that. But none of that was really thoroughly planned, like in advance. I mean, a lot of it was opportunistic. So the rental house that we're actually sitting in right now, we had another rental 2 years ago that we owned with another set of partners. The partners decided they wanted out. They were moving out of the area. They didn't want to manage remotely anymore. So we sold it. We had a pretty good return because we did all the work ourselves. We did the remodel. We furnished it.
I was pregnant, caulking trim.
Yeah. Shae was pregnant with
baby number 3. It was Jack.
Yeah, it was Jack. Yeah. And, Facebook Marketplace for all the furniture, you name it, everything we could do to save money. And it's the middle of COVID too. So we didn't know if we would do well or not, but it did obviously. But so we sold it a couple of years ago and we had a pretty substantial return on that. So we did what's called a 1031 exchange. So you take the profit from that, you reinvest into something else. And that created a snowball effect that led to 3 more properties. Because once we bought that place, we were able to pull equity back out of it to do the remodel. And once the remodel was done, we had it appraised and it was worth a lot more than we were into it for. Pulled more equity out. We converted the garage on the property into a 1-bedroom cabin that we gifted to Shae's parents.
It was a dilapidated detached garage that is now a studio cabin that's going to be generating $45,000 a year.
So we used the equity in our remodeled house to help Shae's parents build that house. Once it was done, they pulled a mortgage on it, gave us back our investment, and then we used that across the street to build a container home that we ended up selling to a partnership that we're still involved in. So, and that's what they'll get into, or what you'd hear is the BRRRR method, buy, remodel, rents, reappraise, repeats, however that goes.
I think that's it.
I think I got it. Yeah. But and then we'll do it again with the container home. We're planning on pulling an appraisal on it once it's done because we've cash flowed that whole thing between the equity we've had in this place and then our partners. So then we'll pull an appraisal on it. We'll pull a loan on it. We'll take that money back out and we'll redeploy it somewhere else. So, you don't have to have $1 million in the bank to invest in real estate because trust me, we never have. But you can get creative as long as you work hard and you're smart about it, or at least relatively smart and a little bit lucky, then you make it work.
We feel like we should be able to semi-retire by the time we're 45.
Yeah. Based on the revenue that we'll be generating from our existing rentals and the ones that we have in the works now.
Amazing. So I'm hearing just do it. How do we just do it? We need educating ourselves. You guys have learned a lot throughout the years, and some of that education allows you to understand not loopholes, but just ways that you can do things smarter. Buy a house, paint it, make it look good, remodel it, rent it, reappraise it, and go through the cycle again and again and again. Opens you up to more opportunities. And I'm sure that you guys have learned so much. throughout these years, and all of those little nuggets are in this chapter, but I'm sure there's many more that you have over the years. So thank you so much for being here today. Where can people find out more about your business?
Yeah, we're on Facebook, Duffy Homes Branson. We have a website, duffyhomesllc.com. And those are pretty much the two main ones. We're also on Facebook personally. We're active in a lot of the groups. We love mentoring and just talking to people about real estate in general. So please find us on Facebook and reach out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. And everyone who's ever watching this video, mark your calendars for October 1st. This book is coming out by Cash Street Press, and it's going to be an incredible book. We have 8 incredible people, 4 couples who are bringing all the information, knowledge, wisdom, stories, and experience on the short-term rental and real estate industry and doing it together. So thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you both.
Thank you, Bridget.
Thanks.